Spawning in this corner, we have red. And then spawning in this corner, we have Rolex. First pylon, the first probe you make, 13. Queue up your 14th. You take your pylon a little bit late there. The reason that matters so much in PvT specifically is because that pylon, you need to get your gateway down as soon as humanly possible, because that Reaper is going to come, and if you don't have a unit out, you're going to probably lose a couple probes, and that's big. All right, so we rallied this one. I like it. Kind of got a pseudo Reaper wall. I mean, that works. Scouting after gateway. I'm digging it. I'm happy to see that the scouting probe's on a hotkey, and so is the Nexus. The gateway is not, but once you have warp gate, it's not that big of a deal. But until then, you might want to toss that in a hotkey. We got good chronos. Worker production hasn't stopped. Okay, we're at 19 supply. This drone should, or this probe should be rallied down to make the natural. Hey, you fixed it! All right, my man! Okay. This goes down. Let's see what he's got going on this side of the map. Okay, he went gas first, but that's okay. Gas first is relatively common. Okay. This is stuff we have to tighten up. We've got an idle probe doing nothing right here. We've got enough money for a cyber core. I see we have a probe here ready to build it, even though I don't even know if there's enough room in the front, to be honest, but our cyber core is definitely going to be delayed like minimum 5 to 10 seconds at this point. Oh, yeah, there we go. So definitely delayed. Again, it's super, super important to keep this super tight versus Terran, because when that Reaper comes, you have to have a unit ready. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Okay, what are you looking at? All right, so that's actually a great tip you can do. A lot of Protoss players, what they'll do is after they scout the main, see that everything's okay, they'll pull their probe over here, and that way, if you know the timing of the Reaper's typically moving out like right after 210 to 220, just depending on the player, the MMR bracket, but the Reaper's usually moving out somewhere in that window. So at like 225, if you take this probe and go attack this SAV that's making the natural, you can sometimes pull that Reaper back home and buy yourself a couple seconds. But regardless, you still had your probe in there. You kept the Reaper at home for a couple seconds extra, which makes up for the fact that our cyber core was late. So we are back in the game. We're golden. So early sentry, yes, I do like that, but this early, no. I'm not a fan of this at all. So the next 100 gas after our first gateway unit needs to go into a tech. So we need to pick Twilight, Robo, Stargate. They're all viable, but we need to have a tech option ready and able to go, because when that Terran comes across the map, first he's going to poke him with the Reaper. That's whatever. We have a stalker out. We can deal with that. But the first big push of a Terran is between 5 and 6 minutes. Now, the typical harass timing, like Widowmine drops, Hellion drops, usually between 4 minutes and 5 minutes. To be really specific, usually around the 4:30, 4:45 mark is when you're going to see them. But again, I don't know what MMR you are. I don't know what bracket you're in. This can all vary heavily, but 4:30 to 4:45 is the window you want to be ready for. But that follow-up push is coming at like 6 minutes. So that's why we need to get our tech down early. We need to pick the route, and we need to have a ready response for whatever they're going to throw at us. I mean, absolutely solid probe production. Chronos, like the energy in your Nexuses hasn't been that low, like, or hasn't been that high. You're spending your money, which I'm really digging. So yeah, we chose a tech path, but it's definitely late. We also have an early gateway for some reason. Usually around the 3-minute 30 mark in PvT, you can cut probes at 32 and just throw down, 32 and throw down 2 gateways. Just throwing down one, we already have one. It's a little odd. So typically it's going to be first unit, then tech, then at 3:30, we're throwing down 2 more gateways. And then when we take our third at around the 4-minute mark, we'll throw down 2 more, and then eventually 2 more. So what's this dude got going on the map? So if we look at the units tab, This dude has made one Reaper the entire game, and it's in a bunker. He hasn't moved out. If we look at it from his side of the vision, he's playing single player mode, man. He has absolutely no idea or concern as to what you're doing across the map. To be fair, you haven't followed up any sort of scout, and it doesn't look like you have any intentions to yet. I'm hoping that the first unit out of here is an observer, so I can eat my own words here. Yeah, again, we have a little bit of a weird gateway number. I'm assuming you've watched Hearthstone or something like that in the past, because this is like really, really on key. Like, took both the gases right after your third. Chrono energy has been really good. It's been used. It's just the production that's a little wonky. So first unit's an immortal again. So it's been it's getting close to 3 minutes, and we haven't scouted. The first unit out of your robo, if you're going to go robo, should, unless there's something pressing that you know there's a proxy or he hasn't expanded or something like that, the first unit out should, in PvT, be an observer, so that we can just get an idea as to what the tech is going. Are they going to do a Raven push? Are they going to do Widow Mines? Are they doing Hellions? What's going on? In this case, this motherfucker is rushing straight to a Battlecruiser, and we're not seeing it. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you are ahead. Your third base is about halfway done. He doesn't even have one on the way. You're up in workers. Everything looks fantastic. At this point in time, if you knew about that Battlecruiser, honestly, I would throw down, because you only have 2, I'd throw down 4 more gateways, get 6 gateways, throw down a Twilight, get Blink, and just be in his face. Non-stop stalkers. In low numbers, Battlecruisers get absolutely decimated by stalkers. You still do need a decent number, but once they get probably 3 or more, that's when we need to start looking at other options. Okay, Double Forge Twilight, I'm digging it. Usually the time for your upgrades and everything goes down at about the 5-minute mark. We're a little early. I'm super happy with that. Honestly, we have the worker count. We haven't lost anything. So we have an observer. Again, we have no idea what's going on. He's playing single player, and you're kind of playing single player. You're pushing blindly with this army. You have no idea what's coming, and especially this timing. This timing is a very dangerous time to move out. Typically, if you're going to play like a Blink, Aggression, or something like that, you're in earlier, and you can kind of kite with your stalkers all the way back to your main. This is not that build, obviously, and this is right around the time when that Terran is going to push you. I mean, he's going Battlecruiser. I'm talking standard Terran, but this is a very dangerous time to move out, and we kind of have a ragtag army here. Like, we've got, what, 7 Stalkers, a Sentry, and an Immortal, with no Warp Prism, nothing. Like, this is a bad move out, especially because we have upgrades on the way. We could just chill. So, I'm not digging this. Okay. So we see the Marines, we see the siege tank. At this point, I would probably just back up, because there's no point in fighting here. From your point of view, you can't see it yet. You can't even see the siege tank. But as soon as that first siege tank shot goes off, you'll probably be close enough to see that there's no third, there's no nothing here. So there's nothing to even fight over here. So just don't even bother. Why lose a couple stalkers to a siege tank when you don't have to? But let's see what happens here. Okay, first shell goes off, and here's where we see the Battlecruiser. I'm pretty sure I already saw you recall. This is when we just immediately recall. Okay, we're going to lose a lot of stalkers for no reason. I mean, we have the economy to replace them, but we don't have the production. Again, we are on 3 bases with 55 probes and 2 gateways. That's a big problem. Again, production is part of macro. Every other part of your macro is really, really solid for whatever MMR you are, but we have such limited production. So every one of these stalkers lost. If we had 7 gateways right now, which, you know, we should have at least 5, wouldn't be that big of a deal because we could replace them, but we just literally don't have the ability to right now. So losing those really hurts. Lost a sentry too. And look, our gateways are just so late. Okay. So, let's just look at the units tab here. 12 Marines, only 1 Battlecruiser here. The other ones, yeah, it's at home. Okay, I mean, it could jump, but... And 1 tank. So, yeah, one tank here. So we have an immortal and we have a shield battery. Do we have the energy anywhere? We do have the energy to battery overcharge. So that's fantastic. Now, I mean, don't worry about the probe, it's dead. But we have realistically enough to deal with everything on the ground, but we just don't have enough to deal with everything on the ground and the battlecruiser. So we need to back the hell up this ramp. We need to wait for these gateways to finish. I mean, we can warp in 2 right now. And we just need to get a higher stalker count. We only have 5. Versus 1, I'd like to see at least 8, if not more. But okay, so we're choosing to fight, which is a little weird because there's nothing. He's not pressuring you here. This siege tank can hit this shield battery, maybe this pylon, but that's about it. Your minerals are not at risk here. There's no big threat. So we're overcharging the battery, which is awesome, and then we're moving out of range for no apparent reason, and we're gonna go take an unfavorable trade. I just don't know, because like we have the supply, we have an available warp in, and look at our upgrades. They're getting close to done. We could toss some chronos down on those and get them done. We overcharged the battery and we walked way out of its range. So again, we killed everything that's big on the ground. Yeah, dealt with, like I said. But this warp in round was very, very late, and we just don't have the production. Okay, so looking at his side of the map, we still have not scouted. Like, it has been, look at your map vision. It has been a very long time, and we still don't know what your opponent's doing. I mean, he's got a 3rd. It's not on location yet. So again, we are still ahead. We're ahead in workers. I mean, the army supply is favored in him because he has 2 battlecruisers, and I think, yeah, he's got a 3rd almost done. But he's got 1 Stargate production. These 2 are not up and running yet, nor will he have the money to really make them. Because he's still on 2 base. You can't support 3 Stargate battlecruiser on 2 base consistently. We've got a 4th on the way. Yeah, we took some losses. Like, we lost 11 probes, but we're still ahead. If we had scouted and saw, hey, look, he doesn't have a 3rd yet, we could have just stayed at home and we would have been totally fine because we're still ahead of him. All we would have to do is make 2 or 3 more rounds of stalkers with Blink, which we're still not starting, and we would have been absolutely golden to destroy this kid. Okay, so we quickly realized we can't do that. I really hope you back up. Recall, we have recall available. No, we don't. No, we don't. We're fucked. Even with that trade, we look at the losses. We're definitely down in losses, but we are still up in workers, and we have a 4th on the way. His 3rd is just being established. So we are still ahead, and we're still ahead economically. All we have to do is stay at home and make unit. At this point in time, it's evident that he's going to keep going battlecruisers, or it would be if we had vision, but we don't. But, I mean, you saw 2. It's likely that it's going to be more. So the natural counter to battlecruisers is Tempests. So we have the money. We absolutely need to be going into Stargate at this point. We are very late. Okay. Yeah. Void Rays do not beat battlecruisers. It's just, they don't. We need to get a fleet beacon, which we have. We need to be going Tempests. These units are not control grouped. They're just idle. They would be useful. Oh, no. Okay, so I just want to point this out. He's got 5 0-0 battlecruisers. You have Blink, and you have 2-2. Don't waste your gas on Archons. Archons are okay, but they're not really the unit we're looking for to beat these battlecruisers. If we have an excess of gas, sure, but we need to be getting Tempest, so that's where that gas needs to be going. Realistically, even if we didn't get Tempests, because we have 2-2, this is the first time we've taken critical damage. All we have to do is just constantly warp in stalkers and be on his side of the map, pressuring once we have our proper setup and the production in place, which now we do, but the time has passed. So if we rewind it just a little bit here, So, how many gateways do we have? We have 8 gates, so that's awesome. This gas isn't being taken. That's kind of a bigger deal. We do need a lot of gas because we need to be going into Tempests. But units right now, 8 Stalkers versus 5 Battlecruisers. The Battlecruisers will win that fight. But if we just did 3 more warp-in rounds and killed 1 minute of time while our 2-2 is finishing, while we chrono, and just stopped worker production, we're at 73, and all we have to do is get that big ball of stalkers. We might not kill him, but we should kill a couple battlecruisers. We should punish his economy, either kill or lift his third, and keep him contained on 2 bases. See, we have recall. Honestly, the best move, we killed the expansion. As soon as we saw those battlecruisers teleport, we should have been recalling, because we're not going to win this fight. Like, he's got 12 battlecruisers versus our 14, 15 stalkers. There's almost as many battlecruisers as stalkers at this point. In all honesty, with the losses we've taken, the unfavorable trades, and the fact that we're still nowhere near or even starting Tempest production, and we're just going into gateways, this game is over. We're fighting uphill. We're fighting ourselves while we're fighting these battlecruisers. All right, my dude. So GG. Well played. These are my takeaway points for you. We have to tighten up the opening. We have to choose our tech path, get it down earlier. We need to get proper production facilities. We need to get the right amount of gateways at the right amount of time and stuff like that. We do need to know the timing of general attacks. We can't move out too early with our entire army like we did. We definitely need to improve our scouting. We need to learn unit counters. We need to learn what proper army compositions we need to use to respond to whatever your opponent's doing. And we do need to learn when to fight and when we don't need to, when we can avoid it. I'm referencing the point where you overcharged the shield battery, moved out of the range so it couldn't do anything, and took a fight where you just didn't need to. Overall, though, for Diamond, your macro is absolutely solid. There was a lot of good potential in this. I think a lot of what it came down to, even though there was tons of sloppy mistakes, I mean, it's Diamond, it's not that big of a deal. We all make mistakes. A lot of what it came down to is just not going into Tempests. I don't know if it was just something you didn't know or if it's just something you were hesitant to do. But once that battlecruiser number was getting higher and higher and we realized that, hey, shit, this guy's just going to keep pumping up battlecruisers, we absolutely needed to get into Tempests just much, much earlier, and the game would have gone completely different. But yeah, GG, well played. We live, we learn, and hope this helped.